Hi, everyone. I know I can't see anybody, so it's a bit strange for talking to a big blank screen. Thank you very much for joining today. We get a lot of questions about Copilot and AI in general, and so we've decided to partner up with Glide Training so we can offer bespoke training packages to all of you. Jane Hames, who I'm going to hand over to in a moment, is a human-focused IT and AI training specialist. During the webinar, we've opened up the chat, so if you've got any questions, Jane will try to answer them. We might not have time for all of them, depending on how many people ask questions, but she'll try her best. Once the webinar is finished, we'll send you a recording. And if you're interested in discussing further training or licensing for Copilot, please come to me directly. I'm going to go off camera in a second, and Jane will continue from here.
Thank you, Aaron. So I'm just going to share my screen first of all, but thank you all for joining to start with. Yeah, I'm here to go through really what you can do with Microsoft's 365 Copilot, which is different to the general Microsoft Copilot. There's a lot more functionality and opportunities for you really with this 365 version. So the things that I'm going to be going through over the next 45 minutes are what's the difference between Microsoft Copilot compared to Microsoft 365 Copilot. We're going to talk about when you would use the work mode compared to the web mode. Now, if you don't currently have the 365 Copilot license, you won't have work mode currently, but it's important to understand the difference between those and what you should use and when. Copilot agents are brilliant for helping you with tasks that you carry out repeatedly, even something as simple as writing emails that sound exactly like you. That's what an agent could help you with. Again, if you've got 365 Copilot, you can also use Copilot in the app. So Outlook, Teams, Word, and Excel, they're the ones that I'm going to be giving you some tips on today, but it applies to the other apps as well. And then we've got something called notebooks, which is really good if you want to write prompts, but the results are constrained to set sources. So you can upload set sources to a notebook, and then you prompt within that notebook, and the results will only come from those sources. So it's a brilliant way to sort of constrain and target the information that you want to produce. So what I'm going to be doing is some demonstrations to show you these different things, and every so often I will pause to have a look at the chat to see if there's any questions that I can answer there and then. As Aaron said, if there's not time to answer them all, we can come back to you later on. So I will switch to my Copilot screen so that you can see that, and I can start my first demo for you. So I've come into Copilot here. So this is the 365 version. And the reason that I use the 365 version is because it allows me to move beyond just using AI chat. With the 365 version, it understands emails, your team meetings, files on your SharePoint, permissions, security policies. So it really interacts with your whole Microsoft ecosystem. So one of the first things that's different when I've got this 365 version is that I've got the choice between work and web. So currently, if you don't have the 365 version, you won't have that work option there. You'll only have the web option, which means that when you're writing your prompts, it is only searching the data set and the web. It's not searching your work content. So you wouldn't be able to write prompts and gather information from your Teams meetings and your SharePoint files and all of those things. So this web option is what you would have if you don't have 365. If you do have 365, you will have both work and web. So that will give us a massive amount of extra functionality. So web is your general AI assistant using the chat. Work connects to your Microsoft ecosystem as well. So first of all, one thing that I find really useful is down the left-hand side. And by the way, if you don't have that bar down the left-hand side, it might just be you need to click on that little square in the top left there. That shows and hides that navigation bar. So one thing that I find really useful is this search option. So this search option works specifically with your work files. So I could just type in, I'm going to type in the name of a file that I use regularly during my training and just press enter. And what it will do is it will come up with all the results that match. And the main thing that I want to draw your attention to here is the results over on the right-hand side. So the results that it's found, some have come from Copilot chats, some have come from Outlook or SharePoint or Teams. So as you can see, this search, which works really quickly, actually, it enables you to search your whole environment, you know, the Copilot, the Mail, the SharePoint, the Teams, all in one go. And what we can do there as well is if I want to have a look at the SharePoint options, I can just click onto that and it will narrow it down. We've also got these filters across the top as well, which can be really useful. So it enables you to find information from all of these sources. So it's a really great addition to Copilot, I think. So just to remind you to get to that, and usually you're probably on the new chat screen, which is where you would be writing your prompts, but you just go to search across those files and other content from your organization. Just pausing to look at the questions here. Yeah, so how do you ensure you're connected to the 365 version? So it depends on the license that you've got. So yes, you'll need the work login, and with that login, you know, that's your license is connected to that. So other things that we have in this 365 version, up the top here, I've got the app launcher. And one of those options in the app launcher is something called Create. So with Create, I won't actually do anything here because it can take some time, but you get a really in-depth facility to, well, as you can see here, create images, videos, infographics. There's all sorts of things that it can generate for you. You can even set up your own branding in here. So there are some templates and ideas for prompts, which is really useful as well. So from that 9 dots, there are other things that you can get to from here, which are the Create and the notebooks, which I'm going to come on to later on. One thing that, let's go back to the new chat here. One thing that I've got set up for a couple of reasons, which again, you would need the 365 license for, is being able to schedule prompts, which can be very useful for things that you want to run regularly. So rather than having to write the prompt, whether it's work mode, whether it's web mode, depending on what you're wanting to do, rather than writing the prompt each time, you schedule it. So what I'm going to do is to show you a couple of scheduled prompts that I've already got set up. So in the top right here, I'm going to click on those 3 dots and, oh, hang on. There you go. Sorry, I needed to be in work mode. Click on those 3 dots and go to scheduled prompts. So when I click on scheduled prompts, it will show me two that I've already got. Now, I wonder if there we go. So I've got one that's going to run every day at 4 o'clock, give me an overview of all my Teams meetings today. Yeah, so where you want that kind of end of the day summary or beginning of the day, give me an overview of all the meetings I've got in my Outlook calendar for today. What do I need to plan for? What do I need to prepare for? And I've got a second one here, which is asking it to summarize my emails. I think that I've turned that one off, but if I go into if I turn that back on, I'll show you how you can go into the details. I think I've got that one set to run every Friday. If not, I can edit the schedule. There you go, I've got it to run every day. So I just want it to run every Friday at 4 o'clock. An update. And the other thing it does is it gives you an email when the responses are ready as well. So, you schedule your prompt, and when it happens, you will get an email telling you that it's happened as long as that tick box was selected. So with this work mode, we can go back to past prompts and we can schedule them to happen regularly. So just having a look at the questions. Oh, Aaron's answered that one. Why can't I see the work web option? Because you don't have 365. So if you don't have the 365 Copilot version, you will not have the work and web options at the top. Okay, so you would need a different license to get those. Which is the purpose really of today, so that I can show you, what's possible. Okay, I'm not sure. I can't answer your question right now. I don't think, Octavia. You might have Microsoft 365, but it's just to check whether you have Copilot 365. That's the key difference. Maybe that's something that we can help you with afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to carry on going through what's possible here. There might be, for some of you who are saying you're sure you've got the right license, but you don't have the options, perhaps there's a setting in the background that needs to be enabled for you to switch these things on. It could be an admin setting, perhaps. I don't know for sure, but that's something we'll need to look at, but not. I can't do that right now. When you're using Copilot, I mean, you might already write prompts in here. You might click on the plus to add content. If you've got the work option, you can also attach cloud files. You can also just type a / and start typing in, the file that you want it to refer to in the prompt. Yeah, so that's another thing that I can do with the 365 is to type that / and it will bring up a list, but you can just start typing, or you can go through, you could pick up meetings. Maybe you want it to refer to the notes from a particular meeting. I can't click on my meetings because it's got other clients' names and details and things in there. But, all of that stuff is possible just by typing that / So the kind of things you would do in web mode, I think I've got one already prepared for you. So the type of prompts you would do in web mode would be something where I want it to carry out a general task for me. I'm going to add a couple of files in here as well, just to show you that you can do that. Whether it's in work mode, whether it's in web mode, you can upload files. But this will, this is going to do a comparison between two financial statements. But this is the kind of thing you might still do in web mode because you want it to use the web knowledge. Yeah. Whereas work mode, that will be more for things where you want it to search your Microsoft ecosystem. You want it to give you a summary of all the work you've done that week. You want it to look at all the files in a particular folder, so somewhere on your SharePoint. And it can look at all of those things if you have permission to them. So that's a really key point when you're using this work mode, is that you can ask it to, do some research, find some information from your work ecosystem, but it will only find things that you have permission to. So your SharePoint permissions do need to be set up correctly if you're going to be using this. Yeah, but I mean, the benefits of using this are huge. Let me just have a look at the no more questions at the moment. Okay, so thank you, Aaron. So yeah, so any more license questions, talk to Aaron or log a call with support. Right. Go back to my list. Here we go. So whenever you're using Copilot, just a few tips for you, make sure you're either on auto or you've chosen the correct model for it to produce the responses with. So is it a quick response or do you want it to think deeper? So thinking deeper will use up a lot more resource and it will take more time. So you'd probably only want to do that if you really need it to think deeper. I tend to leave it on auto and I find that produces really good results because I've really developed my prompt writing skills as well, which helps. So if you're still quite new to prompt writing, that's definitely something to keep practicing and keep developing those skills so that the outputs you get are really great. So that's some of the things then that you can do with 365 just in the chat window itself. The biggest thing for me is remembering to switch between web and work. If you don't remember to switch, you'll have to copy the prompt and do it again. Yeah, copy the prompt, switch to the right mode and do it again. Okay. If you want to get back to any of your past chats, you've got all these ones with the green tick, they're my automated, my scheduled prompts, so they're highlighted with the green tick there. So I can spot those easily and get back to them, whenever really. It's an easy way to get back to the scheduled prompts as well. And remember, with all of these, you can rename them so they're easy to find later. Okay, so I'm going to move on to agents, but let me just check for questions. Nope, no more questions at the moment. Okay, so we have, with the 365 Copilot, we have the researcher and the analyst agent, which can be really powerful if you want to do some deep research or you want to do some in-depth analysis. So these agents, if I click on the researcher, I won't actually run it because it will take a long time. But you would write your well-structured prompt. You might add some sources that you want it to refer to. You can add other sources. So the sources are web, Microsoft 365. So maybe I only want it to use Microsoft 365, so I would switch off web. Or vice versa, you only want it to search the web, not your current files, because you're researching something brand new and there's nothing relevant within your current files. So so we've got those options as well. And then you would write your prompt. And the researcher will take a little bit of time. It's the kind of thing you might want to spend a decent amount of time writing your prompt first. Ask Copilot to help you write the prompt if you need to. And then set the researcher off. Once you've written your prompt, and you click on send, I would do it, before you go to lunch or before you go into a meeting or something like that, so it can be running in the background while you're doing other things. Likewise with the analyst, this is going to do some much more in-depth work for you. So it can analyze data, generate insights. So you might be uploading some complex Excel files, that kind of thing, or even PDFs. It doesn't have to be Excel files as such, anything that you want to do some analysis on. And there's a few example prompts there as well, which can be really helpful. So we do have various ready-made agents. So, Anthony, a specific question related to my work. I received numerous invoices today. Can you show me how Copilot could integrate my mailbox and produce an Excel summary of all the invoices received that day with details of the supplier dates? Okay, so it can interrogate your mailbox. It can produce a summary. There may be some extra work to do within that. When it comes to more complex workflows, you might need some technical support with that. But I won't show you now because we haven't got time. But you could get it certainly to interrogate your mailbox. So you would be in a new chat, you'd make sure you're in work mode, and you'd have to describe what you want it to look for. So the most important thing there would be, how are you going to explain to it which the emails are with the invoices? You'd need to do a bit of work on how does it get the information from those invoices. It might be a multi-stage process. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that Copilot can help you with. It might even be something that you want to create an agent for, because if you're going to be doing this regularly, probably every day, it could be a scheduled prompt, or it could be an agent where you build in-depth instructions into that agent that will help you to achieve this end result. And a lot of these things do take time and effort to put together, but once you've done it, it's going to save you a lot more time. I hope that helps, Anthony. What do you have to do to safeguard your company data? So as long as you've got the green tick in the top right corner, so you're using a company Copilot account, Microsoft account, your data is secure, and anything that you're prompting it is not being used to train the models. Which is why, we want to have these work licenses as opposed to using a free version of ChatGPT or something like that, where whatever you put in is being used to train, the AI data. Okay, back to my agents then. So we've got some ready-made agents. You can also create your own agents. If you want to be able to build agents that interact with work data, as per Anthony's question just now, then you would need the 365 license. I'm going to show you a really simple one that I've created. So it's just a sample one that I use on training courses, and it's so that it can write emails that sound exactly like me. Because often, people say, well, I get it to draft emails for me or check my emails, but actually it doesn't sound anything like me. And it's because they haven't built an agent. So I'm going to click on the three dots here and choose edit, just so that I can show you. In fact, I have already got it open somewhere. Here we go. It's that one. Here we go. So this is my agent. So this is helping me to update and improve my agent, but it's these instructions that I wanted to show you. So I'm explaining who I want it to behave as. So it's persona, the tone, setting the scene, so the context, received an inquiry about an IT course. I've uploaded a number of example emails, and that's further down here. I've uploaded a document where I just copied and pasted a few emails that are very specific to when I'll be using this agent. So it knows how to sound exactly like me. I've also asked it to look at my emails. Yeah, so they're the sources it's going to be using each time I use this agent. So each time I use this agent, it will be following these instructions, which is to analyze the contents of the knowledge file. So that's my email and the document that I've uploaded. I want it to create emails that will be written in that style, improve the content for readability. So I'm getting it to clone my style, basically. This is a really good prompt. Always try to generate, always use English spellings and not American spellings. And I've given it an example there as well. So optimize with an S instead of with a Z. So they're the instructions. And then I'm saying each time I will provide these 3 bits of information. So I'm going to update my agent. So that's just sort of saving it. If I wanted to use my agent, because this is something I might want to do multiple times a day, I go to my agent here. Last time I went in to edit it. This time I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to click on the agent name and it will bring up the agent. And all I need to do is give it those 3 bits of information. It's going to say course name. You can see where I've used this previously. Maybe I'll just pick one of those. So I've given it the information that it needs. All the other instructions have already been written. Okay, so when I click on submit, it will write an email for me that I can then copy and paste into a new Outlook message. So the idea of an agent is that it's for a task that you carry out frequently, and the instructions are exactly the same each time. Or the main instructions are exactly the same each time, but there are some variations when you use it as with this. I've got 2 other agents that I've created that help me with other work that I need to be able to do. So that's an overview of agents. Let's check the questions. No questions. Okay. So I'm going to move on now and talk about some of the things that you can do with Copilot in the apps themselves. So some of the apps we're going to be looking at today. I'm going to be showing you Teams, first of all. And the reason I've brought my slides back up is because I can't show you my real Teams, because as I said before, it's got real client names and information in there. So I've put together a couple of slides for you to show you some of the things that you can do with Copilot in Teams. So after a meeting is finished, you can just go to the chat in your Teams. So just click on the chat for that meeting. And then from Copilot, there'll be a button at the top. Bear in mind where these buttons are and what they look like does change frequently. Okay, so there are often changes. Often in the middle of training, something's changed, the buttons change, the descriptions change. So you do just need to accept that happens in this new fast-paced world of technology. But you can ask it to summarize the meeting, what decisions were made, what risks were raised, what actions are assigned to me. When you've recorded a Teams meeting, sorry, you can go to the recap. You might have seen this, already, but you've got a transcript, you've got the notes, the AI summary. You could even download it, put it into Copilot chat and ask it to do some more in-depth work based on that. Okay, so that's what you can do after the meeting. During a meeting, maybe you missed something. Something was going on in the background and you missed what somebody was talking about. You can message Copilot during the meeting. So some examples here, recap the meeting so far, highlights from the chat. So, what did I miss? What did Fred just talk about? So that when you're using Copilot within the meeting, that's just for you. Everybody else wouldn't be seeing your results and the questions you're asking. That's just for you. So that's what you can do in Teams. So next, I am going to show you Outlook. Okay, let me just bring that onto the screen for you. There we go. So sorry, I've got to make it a little bit smaller just so that you can't see other client names and things. So in here then, in my Outlook, I've got a Copilot button in the top right. These Copilot buttons, that's what you're looking for currently, is that kind of multicolored Copilot symbol. In some apps, they're in the top right. In others, they're in the bottom right. So again, these things do move around. So don't panic if you can't see it. Just, just stick with it and and have a look around. So, oh, there's my scheduled prompt. So you can see how that email has come in. And if I bring up Copilot, I get the Copilot chat here. It's defaulted to work because it's within Outlook. And, I might want to write prompts in here. So I will just get rid of that one. I will just paste that prompt in there, summarize my email from the last 48 hours, highlight anything urgent or blocking me. That's a very brief prompt. I recommend more in-depth prompts to ensure that you get exactly what you want. So that will work away there. So that was from within Outlook itself, not from within a particular message, just from within, from within my inbox. So it's going to have a look through. So the way it's checking for urgency, I don't know if you could see its reasoning there. I can expand that out actually. It was looking for words like urgent, blocking, ASP, so ASAP. So it looks for that kind of thing. So there we go. So it can do some other things for me as well. It could look at Teams chats, meetings as well, expand it to a 7-day structured summary. So you can always build on what it's given you. The other thing I wanted to show you within Outlook is within a specific message. So this is a longish message thread. It was me writing emails and replying to myself, just so I had an example to work with. But within here, I can click on the Copilot button and I can use Copilot within this email. So I could say, again, I've got a prompt pre-prepared for you. It's got the Copilot training email, which is the correct one. So I'm just going to paste my prompt in there. So draft a concise response agreeing to the Copilot training ideas, but ask for confirmation on timelines and costs. And that will write a response for me. Now, the response might not sound like me because I haven't used my agent. Yeah, so just bear that in mind. Once it's generated the reply, there'll be a little button at the bottom. Here we go. It seems to be doing it now, where I can, still working on it. I've still got the stop button, but there should be, there we go, an option to edit and send. And when I click onto that, is it gone? Okay, I don't know what it's doing there, but edit and send usually opens up the reply in this same thread. Doesn't seem to be doing it at the moment for some reason, but yeah, that opens up the reply in this thread, and then you can edit it and then send it when you're ready. Okay, so we're going to look at Word next. Let me just check for questions. Soon, can you create prompts that can be shared by the whole team, or do they all have to write their own individual prompts? I strongly recommend a prompt library, either for your team or for the organization as a whole, where when you might have spent a decent amount of time writing a prompt that produced an excellent output. Yeah, it's a really good idea to be able to share those with others. Now, in Copilot itself, we do have a prompt library. You can even save your own prompts. These are not my ones. They're just ones that Copilot has given me. And you can share those prompts. You can share to a particular team, and then you would enter the team name. Yeah. So yes, that is possible using the prompt gallery. Okay, so I'm going to go into Word now. So when you go into Word, there is the option at the top to describe what you want to draft with Copilot. So once again, I've got a prompt already written. So I'm just going to paste that in. And I could also say, use the format in / type in the name of the file you want it to use. So you could refer to other files in here as well. If you forget the / option, you've got the plus button too. So with the 365 version, we can use Copilot directly within the apps, as I've said before. So this is the kind of thing you might want it to do in Word. So that was creating a 2-page proposal, so that might take a couple of minutes or so. But you can create it directly within your document. So here we go. It's still working on it. Let's have a little scroll through, see how much it's done. Not much. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I'll leave that one running. In Excel, Copilot's down the bottom right here. So if I just click onto that, if you've got data in a list, I really recommend it's been formatted as a table first, because that will enable it to recognize the column headings much more easily and treat it as a coherent list. One of the things I like when you're first, learning about this is once you've brought Copilot up, it often gives you these example prompts. There's also show more. So it's a good way just to get some ideas about, the kind of things you might want it to help you with. You might want to describe a formula that you want it to help you with. You might want to describe some conditional formatting you want it to apply. I would always refer to the column heading and probably the column letter as well. It can do some quite in-depth insights, and I've done that already to show you because it took more time than I thought we'd have time for. But based on a prompt I wrote, I asked it to, it was just this, analyze this workbook and add data insights. I just used one of the ready-made ones. But it went through the workbook. It's produced some charts, which are editable charts, as you can see here. It's also produced, they're not actually pivot tables, but some little tables of data. It's done some formulas. I mean, the formulas are pretty lengthy and they might take some working out, but you could ask Copilot to help explain what those formulas are. So even just using the ready-made prompt there, that's what it produced based on this data. Okay. So there's a lot of potential here. And the other thing that we've got coming soon, I have no idea when, whether it'll be this year or not, but there's a new function coming. I'll type it in at the top so you can see what I mean. It's that type of function equals Copilot, and that will allow you to do a lot more sort of summarizing and in-depth analysis, sentiment analysis, that kind of thing on your workbooks. That will be rolled out throughout the world at some point. I think some people have got it already, but we don't have it in the UK or Europe as yet. Let's go back to my Word document. Here we go. So that's I've got an option there for done or undo. So yeah, so it's produced this document for me. It's probably not going to be perfect. You've got to check for mistakes. You've got to check whether it's kind of gone off piste and just made some stuff up, which it will do if it can't find an answer. It will make the closest prediction. A bit like predictive text, it makes a prediction, which is sometimes wrong, as I'm sure you'll know if you've ever used predictive text. And it also goes through its reasoning. You can expand that out to sort of see, and that can be pretty useful actually for learning how to write better prompts next time. Yeah. So I can ask it to do more. I can ask it to make changes. I can click on done. Once I've clicked on done, I might then highlight some text. Oh, this has changed. Used to get a little pencil come up. But if I right click on that, I can choose to edit with Copilot, get it to refine it, that kind of thing. Okay. Any questions? No. All right. So in the last few minutes then, I am going to show you notebooks. So let's go back to Copilot itself. I'm going to show you a notebook that I've already got created. In fact, I've already got it open here. But to be able to get to notebooks, you click on the little app launcher up here. I showed you that earlier with Create, but we've also got notebooks. So another feature that comes along with 365. This is a notebook that I created a while ago. It's called Power Tools, but it's about Microsoft Power Tools rather than drills and things like that. And what I've done in this notebook is I have uploaded 5 references. They're just PDFs. But when you go to add references, it could be any kind of file. It tells you the supported formats there. You can search for them, you can upload them, or attach cloud files. And then what you can do is based on those sources, you can write your prompts. So the same kind of prompting, but it will restrict its results to only coming from the references that you have uploaded. So it enables you to restrict it to just those references, just those files that you've uploaded. You can also get it to create an audio overview, which can be quite nice. It's like a podcast kind of thing. They can be quite funny sometimes actually, but it's useful if you've got a load of stuff that you want to be able to summarize and understand, and you haven't got the opportunity to read it all, but you just want to listen to it while you're traveling or something like that. That's where I hear people using that to good effect. So that is everything that I wanted to show you this afternoon. So let's just see if there are any final questions. We've got 2 minutes left. So yeah, any other questions from anybody? So if you do have anything that you think of afterwards, or that's more about licenses, that kind of thing, as Aaron said at the beginning, please get in touch with him afterwards. But yeah, thank you for all your questions during the session, and thank you for listening. And I hope it's been useful. Oh, one more question's come up. Why would you choose Copilot over Claude or ChatGPT? Well, that's a huge question. I mean, there's pros and cons of each. Claude is gaining a lot of traction currently, but Copilot comes with Microsoft. It is a Microsoft tool, so when you're using the Microsoft environment, that kind of makes sense. ChatGPT, I mean, you can get business licenses for ChatGPT, but it's not going to interact with your work data. I mean, with these tools, they do change all the time. They're ever evolving. So yeah, that answer is probably right today, but it might be different, in the future. I don't know. But I think certainly for, other people I work with doing Copilot training, it just makes sense because Copilot has that level of security within Microsoft. It's all constrained to your Microsoft environment. So that's usually a big win for people when choosing which AI tool to use. Okay, well, yeah, so any questions then, or anything else you would need to find out, please contact Aaron, and have a great rest of the day.